Welcome to the Divergent AF podcast. I'm your host, Selena Thompson, a late diagnosed ADHD mother on a hashtag journey to unapologetic authenticity. Dive into the rabbit hole realness with me as we overshare unfiltered and relatable stories of what neurodivergent life is really like. Lifting the lid on the honest, hilarious, and heartbreaking topics typically confined to our inner monologue. Get ready to feel seen and heard as we ditch the to-do list, the daily planners, but most importantly, the shame. Welcome back to episode 7. This is the Divergent AF podcast, and I am your host, Selena Thompson. Today, I am so excited and so honoured to have Rochelle Gallagher on this episode. Rochelle is an out and proud ADHD'er. She lives on Waiheke. Her Instagram handle is Little Black Heart Fashion. She has the most incredible, relatable, and hilarious content I think I have seen on Instagram so far. I actually came across Rochelle when I was doom scrolling, and she popped up, and it was like watching a kindred spirit. I remember going into some of her videos and thinking, holy shit, we don't grow out of this personality, do we? And so I bunny hopped into the DMs and it went from there. I am now so grateful and so lucky to call Rochelle one of my best mates. So when Rochelle and I were chatting about what topic would be a good topic to nut out, and one that we fall on quite naturally on a day-to-day basis, is chasing the dopamines or chasing the dopes. I feel like it's an awareness, realizing that all of your past and even current behavior and your actions moving throughout the world has this underlying drive of seeking stimulation or dopamine. So because we always have to have a metaphor for these types of things, my metaphor has always been we're like the rats that are running around in those experiments and we're pushing the wrong lever, or the lever that we're pushing is coming up empty, and all the other rats are getting their hit of drugs. We're just sitting there like, what? I'm not getting anything. I'm bored. I'm empty. I'm depressed. Welcome, Rochelle.
Hi, Miss Selena.
Well, that was awkward AF. Fuck, we can't be professional. It's really hard trying to be normal, eh?
Hi, Miss Selena. Hi, Charles.
Thank you for getting your shit together and coming on. I know that you're in a blah, blah, tired space right now, which we talked about is really normal for us, but just thank you. So dopamine chasing behaviours, chasing the dopes. Rochelle, if dopamine had a voice in your head, what would it say to you before you ever made an impulsive or rash decision?
You're doing the right thing.
Your one's quite nice and normal, isn't it?
It does get me into financial strife all the time. You're doing the right thing. It may not help with your bank account later on, but you are doing the right thing for you now.
Okay, I feel like your voice is quite measured. My one is more, I think, like a devil. Just do the thing. Just do the thing. What could go wrong? That's my voice. I feel like yours is quite angelic.
My voice is very angelic because I know I'm going to feel bad in about an hour after doing it. The angelic angel on my shoulder called clothing.
Okay, I know we've all got our own vices and we've all got, our tickles for our pickles. So what would your dopamine take gold medal in if it was the Dopamine Olympics? What's your thing?
Dopamine Olympics would be late night shopping online. I would definitely be getting a gold on that.
So just on a quick side note, how come when I ring you late at night, you say that you were in bed and it's your sacred spot and you're not on the phone?
Oh.
Caught you out, you dickhead.
No. Okay, well, this is actually 3 a.m. shopping when I've woken up and can't get back to sleep because I've been overthinking. I do the most ridiculous shops. Then my latest purchase was hydrochloric. Was it hydrochloric?
Hydrochloric. Clonk.
No, what is it?
Hyaluronic.
No, the
yeah, hyaluronic.
Collagen.
Yeah. Hydrolonic.
Yeah, hydrochloric.
Hydrogen.
The latest 3 a.m. purchase was a viral collagen mask.
Okay, was it on sale?
No, it was. Oh my God.
So it wasn't even on sale.
No, it was full price.
But don't you hate that? It's like if something is reduced, it kind of takes the sting off it a little bit.
No, this was unfortunately a 3 a.m. high price, full price purchase that I felt guilty for about an hour later, and then it arrived 2 days later, and then I feel good about it again. I need the dopamine rush again.
It's actually the cycle that I made up because, I make things up. The cycle of repression, expression, and then depression. And then it just repeats. We try and repress, like, don't do that, don't do that. That's going to ruin your life. That's going to ruin your bank account. Then we do it. And then there's that depression of, I really shouldn't have done that. And then the cycle continues forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, and how many collagen face masks do you really need?
Well, there's always something else. So aside from purchases, what about hobbies? Have you ever decided to start on a whim a new hobby? What was it, and how long did the rush last for before then you stuffed it all in the closet and pretend it never happened?
Okay, so the latest hobby is drums, and I've taken that up 6 months ago, and I've actually stuck with this one. My tutor gives me something harder to do each week, and that actually this is the first time I feel quite stuck on one thing, but I can see myself getting bored already, but I'm still in it. I've got drums at home, so I practice at home, but it's just enough to keep me wanting to go back each week. But I could see how if I didn't have a drum set at home, then I wouldn't be into it as much, because the dopamine wouldn't fulfill me long enough to go back each week for the tutor.
I think that 3 months is actually really amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
That's like 30 years in neurotypical life.
You know that we've all done the resin.
Oh my gosh, honestly, the resin. No, it's the instructions for me, and it's the instructions.
We've all got the big resin set up. I've got the big resin set at home.
Okay, so we got purchases, we got hobbies. What about an unhealthy vice? If you're willing to share that, what would be your unhealthy tickle your pickle vice?
What did you just say?
Fuck, I don't know.
Hang on.
What are we talking about?
Oh my God, this is so... We get so stressed that we can't even remember what we just said.
Okay. So impulsive purchases, playing drums. What about an unhealthy tickle your pickle vice?
Oh, absolutely. Alcohol would be the worst for me. I think there's a lot of undiagnosed ADHD people out there that especially women that have drinking problems. Giving up drinking for me has actually been the best thing that I've probably ever done for my ADHD and for shame and guilt and a lot of stuff that kind of comes with drinking.
Good for you, because that would be really hard. I have this theory that anxiety is pretty much RSD, or rejection sensitivity dysphoria. RSD we get every day. So trying to explain that to someone, I pretty much phrase it that, a anxiety, imagine having a anxiety day every day. That is what RSD is for ADHD.
Oh no, I totally agree. And adding a hangover on top of, a hangover on top of anything is hideous, but when you already suffer from that, it's 10 times worse.
Okay, so the fact that you gave up alcohol 3 years ago is a bloody good achievement. Do you have your own kind of personal methods or personal ways of avoiding what I call scratching the itch? It's been a long time and you haven't scratched it, but it just gets itchier and itchier and itchier, and then you just scratch your whole skin off and you ruin your life. Do you have methods that you've found got you to the point of 3 years later?
Yeah, it's called bedtime at 7 p.m. Early bedtime for me has kind of been one of the things that have taken the scratch. That I would love to say it's all the journaling that I do, but I hate doing, but I love doing, but I hate doing. I've got a love and hate relationship with my journal. But no, absolutely avoiding humans.
Like avoiding my house party this weekend because...
Was it this weekend?
Yeah, it's this weekend.
Sorry.
Actually, you're bang on, because it's why we can't get together in person. It's too dangerous. Do you feel that with anything we do, it's 100 or nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I had to stop drinking.
Absolutely feel you on that, because with anything I do, there's never just one drink. There's never just 1 hour. There's never just one tattoo. I want it all the time and I won't stop, and the off switch is broken. That's how it feels. Of course, we have to have another metaphor. The switch goes down and you just can't get it up again. And it must be a really great life to live where you could just naturally have moderation.
Oh.
What is your worst memory that has been burned into your brain of an impulsive action that has gone terribly wrong that you wish that you could forget?
Let's just say that I'm happy that there was no phones and cameras when I was in my teens to record alcohol-induced behaviour I think. I mean, there's been so many.
Even I'm sitting here, if someone asks, what's the worst thing you've done?
Yeah.
It's like, do you mean today or
Yeah.
this year?
You're talking like an hour ago, Selena, or yeah, I mean, to answer that honestly, there's so many, and it does stem down to drinking, because there's just been so many bad decisions from being intoxicated as a teen that I'm just so relieved that there was no phones back then. I would be on CNN. CNN, that's the worst.
What's your view on whether it is better to contain the unleashing of the hounds? Do you think it's better to have a little blowout and allow yourself to get a little bit unhinged, or do you think it is total avoidance and total abstinence?
I think with alcohol, 100% a complete no. When it comes to shopping, it's a complete yes.
I know that fashion and shopping is a big part of your life. If anyone has seen or follows Rochelle's Instagram profile, you would see that she initially started as, would you say, fashion kind of putting looks together, making outfits. That was really your drive, your purpose when you first started your Instagram page, and you were really popular through doing that because you're funny as fuck and you've got amazing creative ideas. Would you say that that has been part of your dopamine seeking behaviours?
Yeah, 100%. It's become like a dopamine outlet for me. Oh, I forgot. Actually, my new obsession is film and television extra work. That's my new dopamine rush.
Okay, this is what we do though. We get asked a question an hour later. It's,
Yeah.
oh, hang on. I'm going to keep this as is because this is actually the natural flow and our natural habitat of how we roll. So can you share a bit more about that? Because I haven't even asked you about what's happening with that, because there's always developments. You're always filming something now.
I get so excited about this new one. All it is TV and film extra work or talent work for ads and stuff like that. But the dopamine for me in this is, am I potentially going to see an A-lister at some point? So that's my new hit, dopamine hit.
Do you also think a big part of it is because you just never know what job you could be on?
That is 100% what it is. That the excitement of going to a new is it venue, walking in, not knowing anybody, putting myself in a position to get scared. There's a huge dopamine hit that comes with it.
It's the thrill of the chase, isn't it? And I know exactly what you mean, because I love throwing myself into scary unknown, starting this podcast, putting all this pressure on myself that no one's asked me to, but I get such a thrill of the scary unknown.
I think the next step for you would be to do this live podcast. That would be the next step.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because this has been going really well. If anyone actually was sitting here listening to the shit that is coming out of our mouths, that won't make the cut. The humour that's been pouring out of us, shit, people don't find that, we find that funny. And I think this is why we're really bunny hopping through this. I'm going to really have to edit and sew it together. It's hard trying to filter yourself from the stuff that naturally comes to you. But yeah, so no, I don't see live in my future. I see cancel culture. What do you wish that people understood more about our patterns of behaviour and the way that we move through the world?
Good question. I don't think people would ever understand our patterns of behaviour, ever. I don't think a normie, as we like to call them, would ever understand a neurodivergent or ADHD nutter.
All I can hope for, my little mission that I decided to make my mission and life purpose, is that the more that it's talked about and normalised in society of, hey, this is who we are, this is what we are. It's a type of normal. And we are the ones that you always call when you want some really good entertainment at a party, at a wedding. So you got to take us as a whole. You can't pick and choose. I was at a party a few weeks ago. Yes, I know I go to parties, and I had come into contact with a random guy. No, it's not the story you think it is. He was an out and proud, raging ADHD'er. You can just spot them from across the room. So know that being can speak your language and no small talk. Oh, how's your night going? He was proudly showing me photos of his recent trip to Bali, and he was explaining that, every so often he just has to run and go off the grid, and he'll book a flight he will need to jump off waterfalls or do crazy things. It's like that's just all part of his accepted ADHD expression. And I said to him, that's amazing. I'm actually really jealous that you can do that, because if you were a woman and a mother, what the narrative would be for your behaviour. His face looked like I had just dropped the mic on him, and it was, wow, I've actually never thought of it like that, and you're bang on. And I said, that would be for a self-obsessed, neglectful, narcissist mother that has abandoned her family. And who do you think you are? This is not normal. This is abhorrent. And it was at that point he said, who are you and where did you come from? And I just said, yeah, I get that a lot. This is my small talk. It's been great chatting. But what do you think about that proposition? That
God, if that was the other way around, I don't see that being the other way around. We can't as women.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to share this, when I had my biggest ADHD wet dream fantasy that was in reality. And it's a moment that will never really come around that much. And I had a flight to Australia booked for me within 3 hours. I called you or messaged you, I was at the airport and I was like, I'm going to Australia. I've reconnected with, someone from like fucking 15 years ago. I remember you were so happy for me. It was, yes, girl. I didn't have the kids. It was a weekend to myself where I had nothing to do except try and not cry. And
I love that moment for you. I think I was so happy for you because I know how much dopamine that would have given you. Just being on that plane, I felt like I was on it with you. There was a lot of love sent through for you just to go have an amazing weekend. This is what it's all about. Yeah, but I think that as women, we feel like we've got more responsibility, but maybe we don't. Maybe we can do that stuff. I don't see that there should be a problem with that.
I think it's changing the construct and the stigma around it. So we should be the trailblazers, Rochelle, for that. I think that it's about being with people or being surrounded by people that actually just love and accept that that's a part of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my ADHD wet dream top moment in life. Do you have one, and what is it?
I think probably traveling to India by myself was my dopamine kind of drop everything, spur of the moment idea that I had when I was in my early 20s. And I didn't know that I had ADHD back then. I didn't know anything about ADHD back then. I've only been diagnosed in the last 6 months, really, or last year. And that was a moment of what the hell have I just done? Should I be traveling by myself around India for 6 months? I just thought, I just have to do it. I have to do this. I just have to get this out. There was no regrets at all with my India trip. No, I think I chose India because it was one of the cheapest countries and the most craziest countries. And I think it was also because I knew that it was a country that was going to get me into situations where I would get more dopamine fix. If I really reflect back on it, when I was organising that trip, I'd heard so much about that place that I just thought, that sounds like my kind of place. It sounds dangerous.
We're so messed in the head, eh? I completely get it.
And also throughout India, I had so many scary experiences that just was enough to keep me travelling.
And you wonder why they say that people that have ADHD don't live as long.
It's literally a 12-year-old stuck in my body, in my head.
Oh, same. Do you think that it's a part of ADHD that's a blessing or a curse?
No, I think it's great. I love that I think like a 12-year-old. I mean, it's not always served me.
A lot of things don't really serve us all the time, but yes.
They don't.
Do you have moments where sometimes you think, gosh, I wish I just was a normie?
No, not at all. There are parts of the day where I need to settle down and do invoicing, and then I think, God, I wish I was normal. In general stuff, creativity, absolutely not. And spur of the moment decisions, no, kind of not.
No, but you find that some of your great ventures in life and some of your accomplishments have actually been triggered by impulsive, I'm going to rush this, I'm going to jump, I'm going to do it.
Selena, I have had so many businesses. Had so many ideas. I've had a restaurant business. I've had loads of little food businesses that I don't think I would have been able to do without having ADHD.
Well, I can feel our energy is really waning on this one because we've been using so much concentration to say the right words and to get the right thoughts out. So I'm going to cap it here. Rochelle, thank you so much for just showing up to this. And I know that we'd had this conversation before we got into recording of you just were feeling really blah. You had all the stress on you about work and you couldn't regulate. And then this feeling of I'm just not bringing my sparkly best self. But that's a whole part of it. And we are very up and down. And, I just wanted to say thank you because I get it when you're trying to push yourself to bring the spark out, but you're not feeling it. But that's the real truth. That's the real ADHD truth. And I hope that this episode can just reflect some authenticity of actually we are like on fire together usually. We're really just a fire going out this time. But that's okay. It just wasn't the time.
Thank you, Selena. You and all the other ADHD people would understand that sometimes your spark just doesn't appear when you want it to. But then it'll appear at 3 o'clock tonight when I start doing my online shopping.
We miss the moment, It's like we just really wouldn't be good in 8 Mile, a moment, one opportunity. Hey, thanks for tuning in to episode 7 of the Divergent AF podcast. I was really honoured and really thrilled to have Rochelle on for this episode. I feel incredibly grateful that she came into my life after a doom scroll. If you would like to see any of Rochelle's amazing on-fire content that she creates, her Instagram handle is Little Black Heart Fashion. Toodles!
Toodles!